Okay, to my American friends, I hope you have a great day and a great election, whatever you end up doing. I'm going to cover a topic. I'm going to tell this through a story. It's probably one of the best podcast insights I've ever gleaned, and I was the interviewer. I'm going to tell you about a podcast I did, and it's beginning of this year. And I took note of it, and we did something about it, and I can actually see it in the data. So here's the story. Did a podcast with the CEO, Eric Huberman, who owns Hawk Media. So it's a professional services agency based in Los Angeles. He's got hundreds of employees. So this is an 8-figure, might even be a 9-figure agency. And I asked him, like point blank, what was like, if you had a time machine, you could have done something to change your business, what would you have done? And I think I asked that question because I heard him talk about this on a podcast. What he found during COVID is that his agency maybe got lackadaisical on its response time back to customers. And when you're young and entrepreneurial, you're just like all over your email. And then you become a founder, you can't do it anymore. So your teammates take over that customer response. And the bigger you get, the more it starts to fall apart unless you're on top of it. Well, in 2021, if I recall in the story, he started to notice a real change in customer churn. Now, this is in the height of COVID. So, there's correlation and causation, but he's seeing the pinch. He's seeing churn happen. And they dug in. And the only thing that really stood out when they did analysis as to the why was the time it was taking to respond back to customers. What used to be when they were small and entrepreneurial might have been minutes or an hour or hours, was really starting to stretch, like half a day, and so forth. And then when they were doing postmortems, it was coming out in the postmortem that response times were really lagging and customers just didn't feel loved. And when you hire an agency, remember, you are selling relationships. You are selling humans solving humans' problems. And so the whole reason you have an agency is to feel like you have this extension, this team extended off your arm. So long of the short is he took an initiative to reduce the time it took to respond to customer requests. What did that do? It changed churn. And I took note of that. I heard it on the podcast. I interviewed Eric earlier this year on our podcast, Outsourced to Profits. And I made it an actual rock. I think it was in Q2, I made it a rock. And what we did tactically is we get inputs from our customers in a variety of different ways. We allow our customers in an agnostic process to use the tool du jour for them. Some use Google Chat, a lot use Slack or WhatsApp, and some use Microsoft Teams. This is like their internal, we call it the bat phone, their ability to reach somebody really quickly, like on our team or internally in their team. And we said to ourselves, what if we could build a command center where every customer's request not only was, as an example, being emailed to the project manager, but at the same time, we had somebody monitoring all of those emails, all of the WhatsApps, all of the Slacks, all of the Teams. And they were like almost shaking the tree, like grabbing the project manager. Hey, I just got an email from the customer. You need to look at it right now within minutes. And that tool we got was shift.com. You hook up every communication platform into it. You give somebody basically like war room like goggles to watch all of the inquiries. And then you create a standard operating procedure playbook as to what's a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 request and response times and an SLA around those response times. So we got the tool hooked up in Q2. And then it's really started to like become effective at the end of Q3 coming into Q4. So last night, as we're building our 2025 business plan, I'm actually updating our historical big data. And I'm looking at our churn rates. Okay, so now we serve the SMB. So the SMB lower mid-market has a higher than usual churn. And these are in monthly rates. And so for a while, we have it in a good spot. 0%, and I have it on gross retention rates and net retention rates. So gross means you started with X customers, what churned, does not count upsell, cross-sell, and growth, and does not count downgrading, skipped payment, refunds, and churn. So on the gross side, 0%, 3%, 3%. But then we go 13% and 30%. This is right around the time when we start implementing the tool. And I sit there and I rack my brain. But afterwards, 0%, 1%. We have 1 month that gets high, it gets 17. Then it's 0% and 6.8%. So we really start to collapse that. And how do we do that? We make it a priority by focusing in on the customer's conversations. When somebody emails, they want the response now, not tomorrow. And because within a few hours, they're going to get interrupted and they start moving in a different path. And then it's that night where they're like, oh my God, the thing that I really wanted to solve at 9 o'clock in the morning didn't get solved. And now it stews and it festers. And every time one of these things festers, they start to build a negative connotation of your business inside your customer's head. And that's the seeds of inception to churn. So I highly recommend shrinking your time to response down to minutes, like less than an hour. And there's tools that can help you do this. Check out shift.com. We're not affiliated. We don't get a commission, no partnership. It's a great tool. We've been loving it.